My deskmate Lu Man and I were simultaneously given the opportunity to choose superpowers. In our past life, she chose Dreamwalk, the ability to freely enter others' dreams, while I chose Oblivion, the power to erase others' memories. She ended up confined to a mental institution after obsessively harassing her crush in dreams, whereas I leveraged Oblivion to become a renowned psychotherapist on the verge of marrying into wealth. At my wedding, Lu Man rushed out from the mental hospital and stabbed a knife into my heart, screaming accusations at me. Give me back his memories of me. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the crossroads of fate, hearing Lu Man's icy voice beside me. This time, I choose Oblivion. The sharp pain of a blade shredding my heart hadn't yet faded when I was pulled back to reality. The bright classroom, the noisy cicadas outside the window, the chalk dust from the teacher's hand dancing in the sunlight, everything was exactly as I remembered. My deskmate Lu Man's face still carried the innocence and fantasies of youth. She tilted her head to look at me, but hidden in her eyes was a trace of resentment and smugness that didn't match her age. A hollow, gender-indistinct voice simultaneously echoed in our minds. Gain the Dreamwalk, ability to freely enter others' dreams at will. Or obtain the Forget, ability to erase any segment of another's memory. Please make your choice. This was the starting point of our fate. In our previous life, Lu Man unhesitatingly rushed to choose Dreamwalk first. This time, she practically gritted her teeth and spoke word by word. I choose Oblivion. She chose the path that should have been mine, the broad road leading to fame, success, and marriage into wealth. After making her choice, she looked at me challengingly, as if waiting to see my expression, whether shock, regret, or despair. She thought I had only one choice left, that dreamwalking ability that ruined her reputation, got her locked up in a mental hospital, and ultimately led to her miserable death. The voice sounded again. Shen Yu, please make your choice. Lu Man's smile grew wider and wider. Under her confident gaze, I slowly curled the corners of my lips. I choose to forfeit my selection. Lu Man's smile froze instantly. What did you say? She exclaimed involuntarily, drawing curious glances from classmates around us. I ignored her, simply repeating calmly in my mind to that voice, I give up. I don't want either of these abilities. In my past life, when she stabbed me to death, her words, give me back his memories of me, left me utterly perplexed. I've healed countless patients, and among them, the most challenging yet successful case was my fiancé, Jiang Che, the heir of a wealthy family. He suffered from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, tormented by nightmares every night. It was only after I used my forgetting ability to erase his most painful memories that he was able to start anew. In that memory, there was no trace of Lu Man. Why would she say that? Having been reborn, I don't want to have anything to do with these bizarre abilities anymore. I just want to be an ordinary person. Stay away from Lu Man, stay away from Jiang Che, and live this life peacefully and steadily. The voice in my head fell silent for a moment, as if judging the truthfulness of my words. Once a choice is made, it cannot be changed. Are you sure you want to give up? I'm sure. Lu Man stared at me intently, her eyes filled with disbelief. She probably couldn't understand why I would give up this opportunity that could change my fate. Shen Yu, are you insane? She lowered her voice, her tone filled with urgency. Do you realize what you're doing? I glanced at her indifferently. I'm perfectly aware, more than ever before. That voice left its final words in my mind. Rules confirmed. Lu Man acquires the forget ability. Shen Yu forfeits selection. Ability will take effect in 24 hours. The voice vanished. Lu Man looked at me, her expression shifting from shock to confusion, ultimately settling into intense disdain and pity. In her eyes, I had probably become a coward who abandoned opportunity out of fear, a complete fool, satisfied. She turned away and began scribbling furiously, mapping out her imminent glorious future, and I simply turned the pages of my textbook calmly. Yet, I didn't notice. On my wrist, a faint, nearly invisible crescent mark flashed briefly. 24 hours later, I fell ill, high fever, delirious rambling, my entire body as if thrown into a steamer. My parents were frantic with worry, taking me to hospitals everywhere for full-body checkups, yet no issues could be found. In the end, the doctor could only attribute it to excessive stress from the college entrance exams leading to weakened immunity, prescribing me a bunch of vitamins and glucose. Only I knew this wasn't just a simple illness. Every midnight, I would fall into the same dream. In my dream, I stood in an endless expanse of thick fog, surrounded by countless floating orbs of light, large and small, bright and dim, like fireflies on a summer night. Instinctively, I reached out and touched the nearest orb. In an instant, a memory that wasn't mine flooded my mind. A girl in a school uniform was quietly crying at her desk after failing an exam. I jolted awake, my heart pounding wildly, drenched in cold sweat. These weren't my memories, they were someone else's dream. I hadn't given up on success. It was the dreamwalking ability that actively chose me after I gave up making a selection. Moreover, it appears to be far more powerful than the one Lu Man possessed in her previous life. Lu Man's dreamwalking could only passively and randomly enter others' dreams. As for me, it seems I can actively choose. I gaze at the moon outside the window, the crescent mark on my wrist emitting a faint glow that only I can see. Suddenly, I understand. Dreamwalking is connected to the moon, representing night and fantasy. Forgetting is linked to the sun, symbolizing daylight and reality. In my previous life, we made our choices during the day, so the forgetting ability, symbolized by the sun, was stronger and could be actively used by me, while dreamwalking could only be triggered passively. But in this life, we made our choices precisely at dusk. At the moment when day and night alternated, the two powers reached an eerie balance. Lu Man chose forgetting, while I chose to give up. Thus, the forgotten dreamwalking ability, following some unknown rule, actively sought me out, and because it took effect at night, its power was amplified. Not only could I enter dreams, but, to some extent, I could manipulate them. Staring at my pale face in the mirror, I suddenly smiled. Lu Man, you thought you took everything from me. Little did you know, what you handed to me yourself was actually the strongest trump card. My body recovered quickly. When I returned to school, Lu Man looked at me as if I were a loser. She probably thought my serious illness was caused by the shock of learning she had gained superpowers while I remained powerless. She began showing off in front of me, whether intentionally or not. Yu, I recently met a very interesting friend who seems to have some psychological trauma. I'm trying to figure out how to help him. The friend, she mentioned, I knew, was Jiang Che, in my past life. It was also around this time that I met Jiang Che, who was forced by his family to attend a psychology lecture. He sat in the last row, pale-faced, with gloomy eyes, exuding an aura that kept strangers at bay. I was the one who took the initiative to sit beside him, gradually breaking through his emotional barriers. But in this life, Lu Man clearly skipped all the groundwork and used some excuse to approach him directly. She wants to replicate my path, become Jiang Che's salvation, then naturally marry into the Jiang family, after school. I saw Lu Man getting into a black Bentley. The car window rolled down, revealing an excessively handsome but pallid face. It's Jiang Che. His gaze remains the same, as if covered by an unmelting layer of ice. Lu Man sits beside him, smiling sweetly and trying hard to keep the conversation going, yet Jiang Che doesn't even spare her a glance. When she sees me, Lu Man deliberately raises her chin at me, like a peacock flaunting its trophy. I expressionlessly averted my gaze and turned to walk toward the bus stop. Lu Man probably thought I was jealous. She didn't know I just found it ridiculous. She thought obtaining the oblivion ability meant she had the winning script. Little did they know, Jiang Che's illness wasn't rooted in those memories that could be so easily erased. Rather, it stemmed from a demon lurking deep within his heart, one even he himself hadn't noticed. That demon only bears its truest, ugliest fangs in dreams. And I am the only hunter. That night, I activated my ability. The crescent mark on my wrist grew slightly warm. Closing my eyes, I silently recited Jiang Che's name in my mind. The darkness before me receded like tidewater, replaced by a sinister ancient castle. The sky was an eerie dark red, with crows cawing on withered tree branches. I know, this is the deepest part of Jiang Che's subconscious, the manifestation of his mental world. Even more desolate and ruined than when I first saw it in my previous life. It seems Lu Man's treatment hasn't had any positive effect. I pushed open the heavy door of the ancient castle and walked inside. The hall was empty, with a long dining table covered in dusty white cloth, and portraits hanging on the walls, each slashed with cuts. I ascended the spiral staircase and found Jiang Che at the end of the second-floor corridor. He was curled up in a corner, still resembling the boy from my memories, hugging his knees and trembling, and standing opposite him was a vague, shadowy figure. The shadowy figure had no facial features, merely a human-shaped mist, yet it exuded a palpably sinister malice. It extended its sharp claws, replaying a terrifying scene over and over again in Jiang Che's memories: kidnapping, beatings, being locked in an airtight box, submerged in icy lake water. This was the source of Jiang Che's trauma, in my past life. I had erased this very memory. Jiang Che recovered because of it, but also lost a part of himself, becoming somewhat indifferent and detached. I always thought this was an unavoidable side effect, only now do I realize how terribly wrong I was. Erasing memories is like pulling weeds from the ground while leaving their roots intact underground. As long as the roots remain, the wounds can never truly heal. And that shadow is the root, it is Jiang Che's true inner demon. I was about to step forward when the shadow seemed to sense something and suddenly turned its head, looking at me. A powerful repulsive force surged toward me, and the scene before my eyes began to twist and shatter. At the last moment before being ejected from the dream, I heard the shadow emit a sharp, mocking laugh. Another one, coming to die. I woke up startled from the dream, my heart nearly leaping out of my chest. That shadowy figure, it could sense my presence. This was completely different from my past life. In my past life, Lu Man's dreamwalking was merely that of an observer, like watching a movie she couldn't interfere with, yet my dream invasion can be detected by the owner of the dream, or rather, the will within the dream. This is both dangerous and an opportunity. The next day, I went to school with dark circles under my eyes. When Lu Man saw me, the smugness on her face grew even stronger. You, didn't you sleep well last night, were you overthinking things? She feigned concern and said, people should recognize reality, don't force what isn't meant to be yours. I couldn't be bothered to respond and just laid my head on the desk to catch up on sleep. Seeing that I wasn't engaging, Lu Man found it dull and turned to chat with the girl sitting behind her instead. Hey, did you know, Jiang Che, the heir of the Jiang group, actually has some serious psychological issues? Is it true? He's so handsome and comes from a wealthy family. It's true. Lu Man lowered her voice, her tone carrying a hint of pride and pity. He was kidnapped as a child and left with deep psychological scars, but don't worry, with me around, he'll recover soon. She had already begun positioning herself as Jiang Che's savior. I closed my eyes and sneered inwardly, getting better. I'm afraid she'll push Jiang Che into an even deeper abyss. Sure enough, within a few days, something happened to Jiang Che. At a business dinner, he suddenly lost control and injured a guest who tried to strike up a conversation with him. The incident caused quite a stir, causing Jiang family's stocks to drop several points. The Jiang family patriarch was furious and immediately stripped Jiang Che of all his positions, confining him at home. I learned about this news from the media. In the photo, Jiang Che was being restrained by bodyguards, his eyes hollow yet frenzied. Like a trapped beast, behind him, Lu Man looked utterly panicked, as if she'd been frightened. I understood immediately. Lu Man had used her forgetting ability. She probably thought Jiang Che's trauma was too deep, that ordinary counseling would be useless, so she decided to take a shortcut and directly erased his memories of being kidnapped. She thought this would solve the problem once and for all. Little did she know, the void of memory would be filled by something far more terrifying. That shadowy figure, having lost its tape to replay endlessly, it began crafting new horrors within Jiang Che's mind. It twisted everyone around Jiang Che into the kidnappers who had once harmed him. That's why Jiang Che lost control and hurt people. Lu Man's self-righteous cleverness is driving Jiang Che insane. I must do something. That night, I entered Jiang Che's dream once again. It was still that same castle, but more dilapidated than before. Cracks covered the walls as if they might collapse at any moment. Instead of going to the second floor, I headed straight for the castle's basement. My intuition tells me that the lair of that shadow is there. The basement door was tightly chained shut, covered with yellow talismans. This is Jiang Che's self-defense mechanism. He instinctively knew something extremely dangerous was locked in the basement, so he subconsciously sealed it away. And Lu Man's forgetting was like handing that thing a key. I saw that several of the iron chains had already broken, and the talismans had grown dim. The seal was about to be broken. I reached out and tore off those talismans without hesitation. Better to release it and face it head-on than let it gather strength inside. The chains snapped with a clang, and the heavy stone door slowly creaked open. An icy, bone-chilling aura rushed forth from behind the door. The basement was pitch black, so dark you couldn't see your own hand before your eyes. I took a few steps forward and kicked something with my foot. By the faint glow emitted from the crescent mark on my wrist, I saw scattered children's toys on the ground, building blocks, toy cars, and a worn-out teddy bear. These must have all belonged to Jiang Che's childhood. At the end of the darkness, I saw that shadowy figure. It was more solid than last time, standing there quietly, as if waiting for me. You've finally come. What emerged from it was no longer a shrill laugh, but a clear voice belonging to a youth, yet that voice was filled with venom and madness. I was stunned. Who are you? The shadow slowly raised its head, revealing in the darkness a face that bore a 70 to 80% resemblance to Jiang Che's, yet was far more twisted and sinister. Who am I? He laughed, the sound echoing through the empty basement. I am Jiang Che, the real Jiang Che that he forgot. I understood instantly. This shadow was no external demon of the heart, it is Jiang Che himself, or rather, a part of his personality that split off to protect himself when he suffered trauma, a dark personality filled with pain, hatred, and destructive desires, and the memory of being kidnapped is the soil that nourishes his existence. In my past life, I erased that memory, which was equivalent to cutting off his nourishment, plunging him into slumber. Jiang Che's primary personality thus found peace, but also lost a part of himself, becoming incomplete. In this life, Lu Man also erased the memory, but she wasn't as powerful as I was, or perhaps she didn't erase it thoroughly enough. She merely leveled the surface of the soil without disturbing the roots buried deep underground. This only enraged that dark personality, unable to draw strength from past pain anymore. He began attempting to take control of Jiang Che's body to create new suffering. Why are you helping him? The dark personality glared at me fiercely. That coward, all he knows is running away. How dare he occupy this body, basking in sunlight and everything, while I'm trapped in this godforsaken place without even a glimpse of daylight. His emotions were extremely agitated, causing the entire basement to begin trembling. It was me surviving in that box by gnawing on wooden planks. It was me who desperately shattered the glass when sinking to the bottom of the lake. I saved him. And him, he forgot about me, he forgot everything. Watching his pained and frenzied appearance, I suddenly felt a surge of sorrow welling up in my heart. He wasn't a devil, he was just a child, misunderstood and unseen. I didn't mean to help him. I looked into his eyes and said calmly, I meant to help you. The dark persona froze. What did you say? I said, I want to help you. I repeated, help you. Reclaim everything that belongs to you. The dark personality clearly doesn't believe me. He scrutinizes me with a suspicious, examining gaze. Why would you help me? Aren't you on his side? I'm not on anyone's side. I say calmly, I only help those I choose to help. I reached out my hand to him. I can let you temporarily take control of the body to see the sun outside, but you must agree to one condition. What conditions? Do not harm innocent people. The dark personality fell silent. He seemed to be weighing the pros and cons of my words. After a long silence, he sneered coldly, fine, but what if someone provokes me first, like that presumptuous woman? I knew he was referring to Lu Man. Do as you please. As soon as I finished speaking, he transformed into a swirling black mist and instantly surged into my body. The next second, I felt a dizzying spin as my consciousness was squeezed into a corner by an overwhelming force. I lost control of my body. This feeling, a strange voice, tinged with hoarseness and excitement, emerged from my throat. Is truly wonderful. I became a mere spectator, watching me flex my hands and feet, then step by step walk out of the basement, out of that crumbling ancient castle, outside the dream, the real world. In the Jiang family's villa, Jiang Che lay on the bed, eyes tightly shut, brows furrowed. Lu Man stood by his bedside, holding a damp towel, gently wiping his forehead. She saw Jiang Che still hadn't woken up, and a trace of impatience flashed across her face. What a useless waste. Even after deleting memories, you're still so troublesome, she muttered under her breath. If it weren't for your family's wealth, I wouldn't bother with you. Just as she was complaining, Jiang Che on the bed suddenly opened his eyes. They were eyes that defied all description, impossible to capture in words, cold, violent, filled with an aura of plunder and destruction. Lu Man was startled by those eyes. Dropping the towel in her hand to the ground, Jiang Che, you're awake. She forced a smile. Jiang Che slowly sat up. He didn't look at Lu Man but instead raised his hand before his eyes, examining it as if it were some novel toy. Then, he turned his head and his gaze fell upon Lu Man. The corners of his lips curled into a cruel and sinister smirk. Who are you? His voice was identical to that dark persona from her dreams. Lu Man was utterly panicked. The Jiang Che before her eyes was completely different from the gloomy boy she remembered. The oppressive aura emanating from him made it almost hard for her to breathe. I'm Lu Man, Jiang Che, don't you remember me? She stammered. It's me, the one who's been helping you with your treatment. Jiang Che repeated the word mockingly as he got out of bed and stepped closer to Lu Man. So it was you who opened the cage that kept me locked away for so long. Lu Man retreated in terror until her back hit the cold wall, leaving her with nowhere else to go. I don't know what you're talking about, you don't know. Jiang Che reached out and gripped her chin with such force it seemed he might crush her bones. That coward forgot every memory of me, and you went ahead and deleted those memories outright. Did you ask for my permission before making him forget me? Lu Man's tears streamed down from the pain, her eyes filled with fear and confusion. She couldn't understand why things had turned out this way. She had genuinely wanted to do good, to cure Jiang Che, so why did he resent her instead? It's you, Jiang Che's eyes narrowed dangerously, who reminded me of more unpleasant memories. He released Lu Man and turned to walk to the window, pulling open the heavy curtains. The blinding sunlight streamed in, but he showed no discomfort. Instead, his expression was one of enjoyment. Still, I should thank you, he said, turning his head to flash Lu Man a grin that sent chills down her spine. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten out. To repay you, he said leisurely, I've decided to give you a grand gift. As soon as the words fell, hurried footsteps echoed from outside the door. The Jiang family's bodyguards and butler rushed in. Young master. Are you all right? Jiang Che pointed at Lu Man in the corner, the smile on his face vanishing instantly, replaced by a chilling disgust. Throw this crazy woman who came out of nowhere out for me. From now on, don't let her set foot in the Jiang family's gate again. Lu Man was disgracefully driven out of the Jiang family. She couldn't understand why Jiang Che had suddenly undergone such a drastic change in temperament. She couldn't understand why. Despite trying to replicate my past life's path to success, she found the first step so difficult. Unwilling to give up, she waited outside the Jiang family villa, hoping to see Jiang Che again, but the Jiang family's security system was far stricter than she had imagined. A few days later, she finally spotted Jiang Che's car. She rushed forward recklessly, blocking the car's path. The car screeched to a halt, stopping less than half a meter away from her. The window rolled down, revealing Jiang Che's strikingly handsome yet icy face. What do you want? His tone was impatient. Jiang Che, listen to me. Lu Man pressed against the car window, speaking urgently. You're not yourself right now. You're being influenced by another thing. You have to believe me. Only I can help you. She was trying to regain Jiang Che's trust this way. However, Jiang Che merely looked at her as if she were a clown. Another thing. He raised an eyebrow. Are you talking about him? He pointed to his own head. Sorry, but right now, I'm the one calling the shots here. As for you, his gaze instantly turned icy. A self-righteous fool peddling cheap kindness everywhere. How dare you think you're qualified to help me? Get out. With that, he rolled up the car window and signaled the driver to move on. The car sped away, leaving Lu Man choking on exhaust fumes and humiliation. I watched everything unfold from my hiding spot nearby. Lu Man's plan had completely failed. Far from becoming Jiang Che's salvation, she had instead become the person he despised most. And all of this was just the beginning. The dark personality that had gained control of the body was like a wild horse that had broken free from its reins. He began to appear frequently in various social settings, acting flamboyantly and arrogantly, completely different from the gloomy and reclusive Jiang Che I remembered. He became the most eye-catching and feared presence in Beijing's high society. Everyone says that the young master of the Jiang family seemed like a completely different person after recovering from his illness. Only I know it wasn't a recovery, it was a replacement. Lu Man did not give up. After being humiliated by Jiang Che, she was depressed for a few days before starting to search for new targets. She began using her forgetting ability to help wealthy individuals resolve their troubles. For example, helping adulterous tycoons erase their mistresses' memories or assisting wealthy heirs who committed crimes by deleting witnesses' memories. She grew increasingly skilled and bold in her actions. She had accumulated considerable connections and wealth, even opening a small but well-known psychological counseling practice. It seemed she had found a path different from my previous life, yet one that could equally lead to success. At school, the way she looked at me regained that condescending pity. She probably thought that I, a fool who had abandoned supernatural abilities, was doomed to struggle at the bottom, never able to reach her heights in this lifetime. I couldn't care less about it. I still went to school and returned home on time every day, with mediocre grades and zero presence in class. Just like the most ordinary high school senior about to face the college entrance exams. No one knew that every night, I would enter one bizarre dream after another. I drift like a ghost through the subconscious of others, observing their joys and sorrows, peering into their deepest secrets. My dreamwalking ability grows stronger with each passing day of practice. I am no longer content with merely observing. I begin to experiment, to interfere, to alter. I entered the dream of a girl who was depressed due to cyberbullying and turned all those malicious comments into blooming flowers. I entered the dream of an athlete who had lost his legs in a car accident and became disheartened, giving him wings so he could feel the joy of running again in his dream. I didn't erase their pain like Lu Man did, I simply told them that even in darkness, one can still possess the ability to see the light. I never show myself, nor do I leave my name. I am merely an unnamed ferryman, wandering through dreams. 13. The college entrance exams are over. I got into a mediocre university and chose an obscure philosophy major. Meanwhile, Lu Man effortlessly entered the nation's top psychology institution by leveraging her accumulated connections. From this moment onward, our life trajectories seemed to diverge completely, one soaring high, the other sinking low. Before college began, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from Jiang Che, or perhaps, it was that dark personality occupying Jiang Che's body who called, "Come out and meet me." His tone was commanding, leaving no room for refusal. I was a bit surprised. Since the day we made the deal in the dream, we hadn't been in contact at all. What exactly does he want to do? We met at an upscale private club. He was dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit, his hair meticulously groomed, exuding an aura of mature yet dangerous charm, a far cry from the trembling boy curled up in a corner that I remembered. "What do you want from me?" I got straight to the point. He poured me a glass of wine, his deep eyes fixed on me. "I need you to keep helping me." "Helping you with what?" Suppressing him, he pointed to his temple. "That coward has been getting more restless lately, always trying to break free." I understood, the original personality hadn't disappeared, he was merely being suppressed. The longer the dark personality stays in the real world, the more fiercely the main personality resists. They are like two ends of a scale. When one rises, the other falls. "Why should I help you?" I retorted. "Isn't this good news for you? You're originally one entity. Perhaps you could try merging." "Merging?" He sounded as if he'd heard the most absurd joke. "Merge with that trash? Are you insulting me?" His gaze instantly turned sinister. "I am the most perfect master of this body. He deserves only to be locked forever in that dark basement." I remained silent. "As long as you help me." He threw out his bargaining chip. "I can give you everything you desire, money, status, or something else." His eyes roamed over me with a hint of undisguised aggression. I picked up the wine glass and gently swirled the red liquid inside. "My terms remain the same as last time. I can help you suppress him, but you must promise me not to use Jiang Che's identity to commit any more atrocities." He frowned, seemingly displeased with my conditions. "What gives you the right to control me?" "Just because." I raised my eyes and looked straight at him. "Only I can enter your basement and let him out." My words were like a precise blade, striking right at his weak spot. He stared at me intently, his eyes flashing with dangerous light. After a long pause, he suddenly laughed. "Interesting." He raised his glass and clinked it with mine. "Deal?" Jiang Che, or rather, his dark personality, and I formed a bizarre cooperative relationship, would regularly enter his dreams, using my spiritual energy to reinforce the seal on the basement that imprisoned his original personality. In return, he became much more restrained in his actions, no longer as reckless as before. Under my suggestion, he even began taking over the Jiang family's business and excelled at it, earning newfound respect from old Master Jiang, who had previously been quite critical of him. Everything seemed to be moving in a positive direction. Meanwhile, Lu Man's career was also flourishing. She became the hottest memory eraser in high society, with countless people offering hefty sums to have their disgraceful pasts erased. Her fame grew increasingly, to the point where she even began giving media interviews. During one interview, the host asked her, "Professor Lu, do you truly believe that forgetting can fundamentally heal a person's trauma?" Lu Man was dressed in an elegant white suit, her face adorned with a confident yet compassionate smile. "Of course," she said, "often. The root of suffering lies in memory itself. It's like a thorn embedded in flesh. Only by removing it can the wound heal. What I've done is help them remove that thorn." Her words sounded noble and flawless. Watching Lu Man on TV, speaking eloquently as if she were some savior, I couldn't help but feel the irony. Does removing the thorn really heal the wound? No, only one thing will remain, a deeper, uglier scar. In fact, that thorn was never truly pulled out, it merely snapped off inside the flesh, rotting silently in unseen depths, festering until it consumes the entire person. Lu Man's patients will soon come to realize this. the first person to encounter trouble was a wealthy businessman who had once sought Lu Man's help to erase memories of his infidelity. During an important business negotiation, he suddenly blurted out his mistress's name in front of his potential partners. The deal fell through immediately, causing significant losses to his company. His wife also learned the truth because of this incident, making it public knowledge. She is now divorcing him and demanding half of his assets. The second incident involved a wealthy second-generation heir who had asked Lu Man to erase his memory of a drunk driving accident. He began having nightmares every night, dreaming of being chased by a bloodied, mangled figure. He became paranoid, constantly feeling someone was out to harm him, and ultimately suffered a mental breakdown that led his family to commit him to a sanatorium. Similar incidents occurred one after another. Those who had been healed by Lu Man began to suffer from various side effects: memory confusion, split personality, hallucinations. Their conditions became 100 times worse than before treatment. For a time, panic spread throughout the upper-class circles. Lu Man went from being the highly sought-after, forgetful healer, to becoming a universally denounced fraud. Everything she had painstakingly built began to crumble apart. She couldn't understand why this was happening. In her past life, Shin Yu used her forgetting ability to heal so many people and achieved fame and success. Why doesn't it work when it comes to her? She doesn't know that using the forgetting ability comes with a price. Every time a memory is erased, it consumes the user's own mental energy, and the erased memories don't just vanish into thin air, they would haunt the user like ghosts. In my past life, the reason I wasn't affected was that every time I used my abilities, I would spend a significant amount of time meditating and emptying my mind, slowly clearing out those negative emotions and memory fragments that didn't belong to me. But Lu Man was too eager for quick success. She treated forgetting as a tool that could be used endlessly, abusing it without restraint. The painful memories she had erased from different people now clung to her like parasites. She began suffering from insomnia, forgetfulness, and emotional outbursts. She would even suddenly blurt out inexplicable memory fragments that didn't belong to her while talking to others. She was being consumed by those memories. When Lu Man came to find me, she looked utterly haggard. Her eyes were sunken, with dark circles so pronounced, and the once vibrant gaze was now filled only with terror and panic. "Shin Yu, please help me." She grabbed my hand with frightening strength. "I know you must have a way, right? You used this ability in your past life too. Why were you fine?" She finally dropped the pretense and laid everything out openly. I calmly withdrew my hand. "I don't know what you're talking about. Stop pretending," she screamed. "We've both lived a second life. How dare you claim ignorance? Did you already know there was something wrong with the forgetting ability, which is why you deliberately let me have it while you chose that seemingly useless dreamwalking?" Her logic, under overwhelming panic, began twisting into something distorted and selfish. In her eyes, I must have schemed against her. "Lu Man," I looked at her, my gaze utterly calm, "you chose this path yourself. Back then, you were the one who snatched it from my hands." My words choked her, her face flushing crimson. Yes, she was the one who snatched it herself. She thought she had seized a treasure, but little did she know it was Pandora's box. "No, it can't be," she muttered to herself, her gaze growing unfocused. "It must be you. You must have done something to me." She began to ramble, accusing me of being jealous and secretly cursing her, watching her descend into madness. I could only feel pity. You can never wake someone who is pretending to be asleep, nor can you save someone who refuses to look inward for reasons. I called security and had her escorted out. Even as she was being dragged away, she continued to scream curses at me. "Shin Yu, you poisonous woman, I won't let you off. Even as a ghost, I won't let you off." I watched her figure disappear through the doorway, feeling no satisfaction in my heart, only a chilling emptiness. Lu Man had been completely driven mad by those chaotic memories. Lu Man's fate was the same as in her previous life. She was sent to a mental hospital by her family, only this time, it wasn't because she was harassing her crush, but because she had truly gone mad. She told everyone she met that she could erase people's memories and claimed there were many people living inside her mind. The doctors diagnosed her with severe schizophrenia. My life seems to have finally returned to peace. My collaboration with Jiang Che is still ongoing. Under the control of his dark personality, the Jiang Group's empire continues to expand rapidly. He has become a perfect, ruthless, emotionless business machine, and that dominant personality belonging to Jiang Che remains locked in that pitch-black basement. Sometimes, when I enter dreams, I go to the basement door to chat with him. He still looks like that young boy, hugging his knees and curled up in the corner. But he's no longer as fearful and desperate as before. He would ask me about the world outside, about my life at university. His voice was soft, carrying a hint of timidity, yet very pure, like a clear spring in the mountain stream. I told him spring had arrived, and the cherry blossoms on campus had all bloomed, very beautiful. He would listen, then show a faint, longing smile. I don't know if what I'm doing is right or wrong. The dark personality needs me to suppress the host personality. The host personality needs me to give him a window to see the outside world. I walk like a tightrope walker, carefully maintaining the fragile balance between them. I thought such days would continue indefinitely, until one day, Jiang Che, the dark persona, suddenly found me. He handed me an invitation. Next week, accompany me to a banquet. The invitation was gilded, exquisitely designed, and the host's name printed on it was one I never expected to see, Lu Man. I was stunned. She wasn't in a mental institution. Her brother took her out. Jiang Che's tone carried a hint of disdain, said her condition has stabilized. They even threw her a welcome-back party, trying to reintegrate her into the circle. How ridiculous. As I looked at the invitation bearing Lu Man's gentle and charming smile in the photo, an intense unease welled up inside me. How could someone diagnosed with severe schizophrenia become clinically stable in such a short time? Things are definitely not that simple. On the evening of the banquet, I attended as Jiang Che's companion. The banquet hall was filled with elegantly dressed guests and the clinking of glasses. Lu Man was wearing a long white dress, holding her brother Lu Zhe's arm, smiling as she greeted the guests. She looked truly like a different person compared to her previous frenzied state. Her gaze was clear, her demeanor graceful, and her smile perfectly measured. It was as if everything that had happened before was just a nightmare. When she saw Jiang Che and me, she took the initiative to come forward. President Jiang, you're here. Her voice was so gentle it could drip with sweetness. Jiang Che merely gave her a cold nod, not even bothering to spare her a proper glance. I looked at her and tentatively asked, Lu Man, your illness, has it gotten better? She covered her mouth and chuckled lightly. What illness? I was just under too much stress before. A little rest was all I needed. Sorry for worrying everyone. She brushed everything off with casual remarks. Not a single flaw in her act. Had I not witnessed her madness with my own eyes, I might have believed her. What exactly had she been through? Midway through the banquet, Lu Man, as the protagonist, took the stage to deliver a speech. She thanked everyone for their concern, then suddenly shifted her tone and looked directly at me. Here. I especially want to thank one person, my good friend, Shen Yu. All the spotlights instantly focused on me. I became the center of attention. Lu Man's voice, amplified by the microphone, clearly echoed throughout the banquet hall. It was her who stayed by my side during my most lost and painful moments, guiding and encouraging me, and it was also her who taught me one thing. She paused, her gaze burning into me as she spoke each word deliberately, that is, true strength does not lie in forgetting pain, rather, it's about making peace with pain, making peace with oneself. A wave of enthusiastic applause erupted from the audience. Everyone looked at me with admiration and respect in their eyes. I had become that kind, noble saint who saved a friend, and I only felt chills running through my entire body, because I saw, when Lu Man uttered those words, the corner of her lips curled into a cruel, sinister smirk, identical to Jiang Che's dark persona. After the banquet ended, on the way home, I remained restless. Jiang Che noticed something was off about me. What's wrong? Disgusted by that woman, he rarely took the initiative to show concern. I shook my head. No, I just feel like she's changed into something dangerous. Oh, he raised an eyebrow, seemingly intrigued. How so? This danger. I told him about my recent discovery. The way she looked at me, it was very similar to how you, for the first time. A trace of seriousness appeared on Jiang Che's face. Are you saying that she also? I nodded. Lu Man, she might have also split off a dark personality, a brand new consciousness that feeds on her pain, jealousy, and resentment. It was that dark personality that suppressed her originally chaotic and fragile main personality, allowing her to regain normalcy. The price was that her original personality became permanently imprisoned. This explains why she could recover so quickly. It also explains why she had to put on that act at the banquet. She wasn't thanking me, she was declaring war on me. The higher she lifts me up, the harder she wants me to fall in the future. Interesting. Jiang Che suddenly laughed after hearing my analysis. Things are getting more and more interesting. His eyes sparkled with excitement. It was the kind of light that only appears when a hunter sees prey. It seems I'll have to meet this kindred spirit. Jiang Che began actively approaching Lu Man. Two patients, both dominated by dark personalities, quickly became familiar in a way outsiders couldn't comprehend. They raced cars together, partied at bars together, and engaged in all sorts of wild and thrilling activities. They are like two magnets, attracting yet repelling each other. To outsiders, they seem like a match made in heaven. Equally outstanding, equally rebellious, equally enigmatic. Soon, rumors began circulating in their circle that Jiang Che and Lu Man were dating. Some even say that the Jiang and Lu families are already discussing marriage arrangements. I, the former companion, have completely become a thing of the past. I couldn't care less about it. In fact, I'm quite happy to see it happen, because I know that two extremely selfish, self-centered dark personalities could never truly come together. Their union would only hasten each other's destruction. Like two of the fiercest beasts locked in the same cage, they would endlessly bite and test each other until one side completely fell. I just need to wait quietly for that moment. However, I still underestimated Lu Man's madness, or rather, I underestimated the cruelty of her dark personality. One night, I received a call from Jiang Che. The voice on the other end of the line wasn't the calm, arrogant tone of his dark personality, but a trembling, youthful voice, one I hadn't heard in a long time, filled with sobs and fear. It was the main personality. Save me, Shenyu, save me, she's going to kill me. She's going to kill me completely. My heart sank abruptly. I rushed to Jiang Che's villa at the fastest speed. The villa was in complete disarray, as if it had been ransacked. Jiang Che collapsed on the living room floor, covered in injuries, blood still flowing from his forehead. He clutched his head, writhing in agony on the ground, letting out beast-like roars. His mental world was engulfed in an unprecedented, brutal war. I immediately activated the Dreamwalk ability. The scene before me was no longer the familiar ancient castle. Instead, it was a sea of flames. The entire castle was engulfed in raging fire. The sky was blood-red, and the earth trembled. Jiang Che's subconscious is collapsing. I rushed into the sea of flames and found Jiang Che's two personalities in the basement that had already burned to ruins. The dark personality was covered in wounds, tightly entangled by a mass of black mist, unable to move. That black mist exuded an aura identical to Lu Man's. The host personality, that timid young boy, was curled up in a corner, slowly being consumed by flames, his body already turning translucent. He was about to disappear. Standing opposite them was a figure. It was Lu Man, or perhaps, it was Lu Man's dark persona. She wore a long black dress, a victor's smile on her face. Shenyu, you've finally arrived, she said, looking at me as if I were a tardy audience member. I thought you might miss the final act of this grand performance. What have you done? I demanded sharply. Me? She laughed so hard her whole body shook. I merely helped him make a choice. You see, these two versions of him, one weak and incompetent, the other arrogant and foolish. What use are they? Better to destroy them both, than let me create a brand new, perfect Jiang Che. Her ambition was far greater than I had ever imagined. She wasn't content with suppression, nor with control. What she desired was complete devouring and replacement. She wanted to turn Jiang Che into her puppet. You're insane. Am I insane? The smile on her face vanished instantly, replaced by a bone-deep venom. Who do I owe for becoming like this? It's you, Shenyu. You destroyed everything I had. You did it in my past life. And you're doing it again in this one, now. I'm going to destroy everything you hold dear, piece by piece. She reached out her hand, and the black mist entwined with the dark personality instantly tightened. The dark personality let out a muffled groan of pain, its figure beginning to fade. At the same time, the flames devouring the main personality burned even fiercer. Jiang Che's two personalities were being erased by her, simultaneously. I gazed at the frenzied Lu Man before me, yet my heart remained unusually calm. The thing I care about most? I asked softly. Yes, Lu Man smiled cruelly. Haven't you always wanted to cure him? Haven't you always been carefully maintaining the balance between them? Now, I'm going to destroy everything you've worked so hard for. You're wrong. I shook my head, looking into her eyes as I spoke word by word. What I care about most has never been him, but myself. Lu Man froze. What do you mean? I didn't answer her, instead closing my eyes. The crescent mark on my wrist began emitting an unprecedented, dazzling radiance. A powerful, pure spiritual energy erupted from my body. The entire dreamscape trembled violently. The burning flames were instantly extinguished. The blood-red sky regained its clarity. The dark mist entwined with the dark personality, as if meeting its nemesis before my formidable mental power, let out a shrill scream before shattering inch by inch. The smile on Lu Man's face froze completely. She looked at me incredulously. No, impossible, how could your dreamwalking ability be so powerful? Because, I opened my eyes, my gaze as cold as ice. My ability was never just dreamwalking, but dream-weaving. In my past life, Lu Man's dreamwalking was merely the lowest level, passive observation, and my dreamwalking, in this life is the second stage, active intervention. After countless nights of traversing and practicing, after aiding innumerable lost souls, my ability has quietly evolved to the third stage, creation. I can become the god of dreams. Here, I am the rule. Now, I looked at Lu Man's pale face. It's my turn to give you a grand gift. I reached out my hand and lightly tapped towards her. Lu Man's body began to turn transparent. She stared at her hands in horror. What have you done to me? Nothing much, I said calmly. Just removed you from Jiang Che's dream, that's all. No, you can't do this, she screamed. I worked so hard to. Before she could finish her sentence, her figure completely vanished. I drove her out. In the real world, Lu Man let out a scream and woke up abruptly in Jiang Che's villa. She found herself lying in Jiang Che's bedroom, but Jiang Che was nowhere to be found. Just moments ago, she had merely constructed a self-righteous scene of victory in her own dream. She never truly invaded Jiang Che's dream at all, from beginning to end. It was all just her own fleeting fantasy. As for me, I merely entered her dream and played along in this charade with her. Then, at the moment of her greatest triumph, I delivered the most fatal blow. Having dealt with Lu Man, I turned and walked towards Jiang Che's two personalities. They were both saved, but still extremely weak. The dark personality looked at me with complex emotions in his eyes. There was shock, wariness, and a trace of discomposure that even he hadn't noticed. And the host personality, that young man, simply looked at me with pure, dependent eyes. Thank you, he said. I walked between them, gazing at these two faces that were identical yet completely different. Would you like to see that thing you've both forgotten? They were all stunned. I didn't wait for their response. Just snapped my fingers. The surrounding scene instantly transformed. The ruins vanished, replaced by a warm and bright room. The room was filled with toys. There was also a little girl wearing a princess dress and a little boy dressed in a small suit, sitting on the carpet happily playing with building blocks. That little boy was Jiang Che in his childhood, and that little girl, the dark personality and the main personality both widened their eyes simultaneously. That girl was Lu Man. What is this? The dark personality's voice trembled slightly. This, I said calmly, is the real memory you've forgotten. Jiang Che and Lu Man were childhood sweethearts. Before Jiang Che was kidnapped, they were best friends. Lu Man was also present during that kidnapping. To protect Jiang Che, she was knocked unconscious by the kidnappers. Jiang Che, due to the immense trauma he suffered, developed post-traumatic stress disorder and selectively forgot all memories related to the kidnapping. Along with it, the tiny figure who had once risked everything to protect him, he forgot Lu Man. When Lu Man woke up, she discovered that her best friend no longer recognized her. She didn't understand why. She only knew that Jiang Che had betrayed their friendship. She began to hate him. This hatred later evolved into more complex feelings of jealousy and resentment after she learned about the vast difference between Jiang's family circumstances and her own. She started targeting Jiang Che everywhere, wanting to take revenge on him. In her past life, she chose to enter dreams, sneaking into the dreams of her secret crush every night. That crush was none other than Jiang Che. Unable to distinguish between reality and dreams, she made intimate advances toward Jiang Che in real life, was labeled a harasser, and ultimately sent to a mental institution. At the mental institution, she accidentally learned that Jiang Che was about to marry a psychotherapist named Xinyu. And the therapist's method of curing Jiang Che was to erase his memories. Lu Man completely broke down. She thought it was me who erased Jiang Che's memories of her, those beautiful childhood memories they shared. She believed I had stolen the position that rightfully belonged to her, so she escaped from the mental hospital and gave me a fatal stab at my wedding. Give me back his memories of me. She didn't want me to return love. She wanted me to return that so-called beautiful past, the one she herself had twisted, one of proof that could demonstrate she wasn't just wishfully thinking or desperately clinging. This is the truth of everything. Both the dark personality and the main personality fell silent. They gazed at the little girl in the dream, dressed in a princess dress and laughing with innocent delight, their eyes filled with complex emotions they couldn't even articulate themselves. It turns out they hated wrongly and remembered wrongly. The root of everything lies not in the kidnapping, nor in the suffering, but rather, in a forgotten memory played upon by time and fate. So, what do you plan to do now? I asked them. The dark personality looked at me and suddenly smiled. That smile no longer held its former gloom and ferocity, leaving only a hint of relief and exhaustion. I'm tired, he said. Then, he turned his gaze toward the timid boy curled up nearby. He reached out his hand to him. Hey, coward, he said, I'm giving this body back to you, but you have to promise me one thing. The main personality looked up at him timidly. Don't be so useless anymore. The main personality froze for a moment, then slowly, he also reached out his hand and grasped the hand that belonged to his other self. The two hands clasped together. The figure of the dark personality began to dissolve into specks of starlight. Gradually merging into the main personality's body, they stood before me, achieving the ultimate reconciliation and fusion. As the light faded, only Jiang Che remained standing before me. He still bore the appearance of that youth, but his eyes no longer held pure timidity nor sheer ferocity. Instead, they shone with a gentle yet resolute light I had never seen before. He looked at me solemnly and bowed deeply. Thank you, Shen Yu. Thank you for helping me find myself again, in the real world. Jiang Che woke up from his coma. He opened his eyes, saw me sitting by the bed, and gave a pure, warm smile. Shen Yu, he called my name, his voice no longer carrying the hoarseness of his dark personality nor the timidity of his original self. It was simply Jiang Che's voice. I know he's back, a complete, brand new Jiang Che. As for Lu Man, after experiencing that dreamscape I orchestrated, she completely collapsed. That powerful dark personality of hers, which had only recently emerged, was shattered by my own hands. Her originally fragile primary personality simply couldn't withstand such immense shock and the overturned truth. She went mad again. This time, it was real, beyond any cure. Her family sent her back to the mental hospital, where she reportedly spent every day playing with building blocks in her ward, murmuring a name no one could understand. Her life had returned to its starting point in the most absurd and tragic way possible. Everything was over. After Jiang Che was discharged from the hospital, the first thing he did was visit Lu Man at the psychiatric facility. Through the thick glass, he stared at the girl in hospital garb, her eyes vacant, standing there for what felt like an eternity. I don't know what he said, nor what he was thinking. All I know is that the first thing he said to me after leaving the mental hospital was, Shen Yu, let's go see the cherry blossoms. Didn't you say the cherry blossoms at school are especially beautiful this year? I froze for a moment, then burst into laughter. All right. His smile under the sunlight was more radiant than cherry blossoms. In my past life, I chose forgetting, thinking it could erase all the pain. In this life, I was forced to choose entering dreams, yet within those dreams, I found all the truths. Perhaps, fate's gifts have always had their price secretly marked. True redemption never lies in forgetting. Rather, it's remembering everything from the past, and then bravely moving forward into the future. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.